Shut, hunger. Trit, thirst. Antara, from within. Jayate, generates. Vibho, of the Supreme. Pipashataha, being desirous to quench the thirst. Jakshataha, being desirous to eat. Cha, and prak, at first. Mukham, the mouth. Nirabhidyata, was opened. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. The living force being agitated by the Virat Purusha generated hunger and thirst, and when he desired to drink and eat, the mouth opened. Purport. The process by which all living beings in the womb of the mother develop their sense organs and sense perceptions appears to follow the same principles in the case of the Virat Purusha, the sum total of all living entities. Therefore, the supreme cause of all generation is not impersonal or without desire. The desires for all kinds of sense perception and sense organs exist in the Supreme, and thus they take place in the individual persons. This desire is the nature of the Supreme Living Being, the Absolute Truth. Because He has the sum total of all mouths, the individual living entities have mouths. Similarly, with all other senses and sense organs, here the mouth is the symbolic representation of all sense organs, for the same principles apply to the others also. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, we're reading this very creative pastimes of the Lord, as we can see, right? Now, Lord is feeling hungry and thirsty, so He is creating. So, this is a very beautiful purport where Prabhupada describes the desire. That Krishna, well, the essence of the purport is that Krishna has desires. That's why we are created. For our creation, that's the desire of Krishna. But our desire, what should be the desire of a living entity? Living entity's desire should not be just to quench the thirst and hunger. That's Krishna's desire, to quench the thirst and hunger, so He creates us. The desire of a living entity is just to be the servant of the Lord, to serve, help the Lord quench the thirst and desire. You can say like that. So, as we in this chapter, it's amazing, right? In Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. We're hearing about how the senses and sense organs were created. So, right now we are looking at that He's desiring to create through the mouth. Next one will be tongue. Then from the tongue, different speech and speak will come, and so on. So, won't focus on the details of this technical creation today. Instead, we'll go a little deeper inside. How should a living entity use his senses, which are created by the Supreme Lord? What's the best way to use the senses? Is to serve the Lord, right? In Bhagavad Gita, the 11th chapter, we hear this, right? Krishna is showing His universal form to whom? To Arjuna, who's His very dear friend. Arjuna has asked, he is surrendered by now fully. He has heard all the opulences in the last chapter. Now he wants to see. He has the desire to see. What is he desiring to see? He's desiring to see the absolute, not the absolute, the universal form of the Lord, right? He wants to see that great, that big form, where he wants to see everything. So Krishna is smiling and he says, sure, if you desire it, you will be seeing it. So, but Krishna says to Arjuna, even though he's a pure devotee, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you cannot see that form with your material vision, right? You can't see it. For that you need spiritual eyes to see that form. And what does Krishna do? He just gives him that divine vision to see that form of the Lord. And what happens when Krishna shows his form? There's a text in the 11th chapter that says that 100,000 of suns, when it comes in the sky, as bright as 100,000 of sun. That's what the effulgence of Krishna is. And that's what Arjuna is seeing, right? You can't see 100, you can't even see one sun. Has anyone ever tried to stare at the sun? Or is it just me? Yeah? Anyone ever tried that as a kid or as an adult? Sometimes we think we are very powerful. I'll just look at the sun today with my own eyes. What happens? You'll probably get blinded after a certain time if you look at the sun. So it's just one sun. We can't even see with our material eyes. What to speak of 100,000 of suns together. Imagine how bright that can be. So that's one reason Krishna has given the divine vision to Arjuna to see himself. Otherwise he would just get blinded, and it's hard for a blind Kshatriya to fight. So that's why Krishna has given him the divine vision to see. We can also get that divine vision to see Krishna. How can we get that divine vision to see Krishna? Can anyone tell? How can we get that divine vision? Krishna answers that in the last few end of the chapter. Only by devotional service can you see me and can you realize me. So there's the answer to all questions. Through devotional service, one can see Krishna. Many people tell us or ask us, like many atheists, they preach this philosophy of, I don't believe in something I don't see. Has anyone heard that argument before from the atheists? I don't believe in something I don't see. How can I believe in something I have not seen? So we asked them a very simple solution to this logic. Have you seen Antarctica? You've been to Antarctica? No, but I have seen it. How have you seen it? There's no good argument that they can come back. There's no good reply. If you ask someone this question, that you're talking about seeing the sight, that if I don't see God, I believe there is no God. If this is the argument, it can very easily be defeated. There's many ways you can defeat that argument, but this is the one that I use on Sankirtan. When I come across an atheist who points this argument to me, I just tell him, have you seen Antarctica? He's like, no, I've never been to Antarctica. But then you still know it exists, right? He's like, yes. Well, how do you know that? It can be true, cannot be true, who knows? If you haven't been there, you have not seen it, have you? If someone would say that to you, what would you answer? There's only two answers you can come back with. Let's see if our two devotees attending the class can answer. How would you answer this? If I tell you, have you seen Antarctica? As you claim, you've not seen God. Yeah? You don't believe in God. So basically you haven't seen Antarctica. So you shouldn't believe that there is an island or there is a continent called Antarctica. How would you believe that? So what would you say? You've seen in Google Maps and you have seen photos. Basically, you've seen in photos and you have seen it through someone else. Is that correct? Is that what you're trying to say? So similarly, I can tell you, I have seen God's photos. That's God right here. Then what's the problem? Why wouldn't you believe him? I can show you God. He's right here. We have many photos of God. There's one here, So we can tell you it exists. It's in books. It's everywhere. It's mentioned. Just like Antarctica you're seeing through the eyes of Google Map, you are seeing through the eyes of Shastra. I can tell you that there's a whole, it took 2 years to read one book, Srimad Bhagavatam, that is only telling us about God and the glories of God. So they're not just written for entertainment purposes. They're written as to teach something. Then why won't you believe me? Is there any other arguments you can come up with? So it doesn't make sense, right? That's the argument you can put forward in front of an atheist. Why won't you believe in God? That's the thing we are trying to tell people, that with your material vision, you cannot see God. You cannot see Krishna. Well, you can if Krishna wants you to, but technically you need spiritual vision to see it, see Him. Krishna, who is the divine form. And it's not easy to see Krishna. You can't just see Krishna just like that, You have to go through the process of purification. In the age of Kali, we are influenced by the material energy very strongly. So the desires to enjoy Krishna's energy is also very strong in the jiva. That's why we came here, right? Because we wanted to enjoy and we wanted to be separate. We wanted to be Krishna. That's why we came here in the material world in the first place. So this desire is always there in the living entity. But how can we get free? How can we get purified from this desire? That's the question. That's the $1 million answer that we get from Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the only way we can get free from this material desire of sense gratification and sense enjoyment for our own pleasure, everything is here, or everything we need for our own sense pleasure, is the idea that we need to get rid of. Because that is what's keeping us bound in this material existence. And the only way to get free from this illusory desire or illusory energy is by doing devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Because there is no other way, right? That's what we know. Devotion, Krishna can only be obtained by devotional service. There's no other way. You can try with the yagyas in Kali Yuga or many other different processes, but it's not going to work, right? Because it's recommended in the Shastra itself. There's only one form that would work in Kali Yuga, and that is to sincerely chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just by that, you can attain Krishna. How easy is that? Imagine in different yugas you would have to spend thousands and thousands of years. We don't even live thousands of years anymore. But back in different yugas you would perform austerities, penances for thousands of years. You would do so-called sacrifices with so many animals were sacrificed, or so much ghee you would need, and all these things. Where are you going to find that in Kali Yuga? It's not possible. Probably go, if you try to do something like that, like try imagine doing horse sacrifice in Kali Yuga. What would happen if you do that? No, you just go to prison for the rest of your life for doing such great, giving trouble to other, if imagine if you try to do that, the government will put you behind the bars. But we don't complain about that when we run those animal slaughter for our own sense gratification. There's no problem with that. Slaughterhouses are well maintained in Kali Yuga. So there won't be, no one would question why there is slaughterhouses in Kali Yuga. Because that's for their own sense pleasure, to satisfy the greed and the tongue. So this is not what we should do in the Kali. Instead, we should use this opportunity. Because a smart person, an intelligent person, always sees opportunity in everything. They say when there is crisis, time of crisis is the time of great opportunity. So an intelligent person would use the crisis as an opportunity. So this is big crisis we are in, the age of Kali. There's nothing better than that. It can't get better than that, to have taken birth in the age of Kali. That's the peak of crisis. There is spiritual crisis having taken birth in the age of Kali. But there's one easy way, very simple way out from the age of Kali, is to chant Hare Krishna. How hard is that? Now this is the easiest process there's ever been. That's what 12th canto says. Just chant Hare Krishna, that's the easiest way, and you will be free. Kalau nasyeva, nasyeva, nasyeva. No other way, no other way, no other way. But just chanting Hare Krishna itself is a big austerity in the age of Kali. Why is that? Because of the desires of the jiva to enjoy the material world. That's the problem. That's the root of all problems in the age of Kali, is that we have the desire to enjoy for our own pleasure, for our own, or for me or my family or my country or my society or my culture or whatever. This is the problem. And the only way to get free of this problem is to perform devotional service. And sometimes, performing devotional service may feel difficult. I don't know if anyone's ever felt like that. Maybe we have some great devotees here who enthusiastically engage in devotional service constantly, as Krishna says. But sometimes for neophyte devotees like me, performing devotional service may seem difficult. The questions may come in our mind that, why am I doing this? I'm not getting paid. There is no monetary gain, or I'm not getting any benefit that I can see. Then we say, you are getting benefit. You're getting purified. Just like when you clean a mirror full of dust, it takes time, it takes efforts to clean. Similarly, it takes time to clean the heart, which is full of material desires. And only by performing devotional service, one can do it. But performing devotional service, Rupa Goswami has explained, while performing devotional service, one should be enthusiastic, one should be patient, one should be determined. Right? That's the first three main things that Rupa Goswami describes in Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. What's the Sanskrit? Utsahan nishchaya dhairyat. Utsahan, enthusiasm, should always be there while performing devotional service. Because without enthusiasm, there's no point of performing devotional service. It's just like, when you see, if I go on Sankirtan, you see there's thousands of people walking on the street during their lunch break with a sad face, hundreds and millions of things going through their mind about how they envy someone else or someone else envies them. That's pretty much all they think about, or the other problems of life. They don't think about good things people have done for them. They only think about the bad things that have done for them. So that's what they're thinking about. No enthusiasm to perform your 10-hour, 11-hour service to Maya. There's no enthusiasm at all. I was hearing this story of Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. When he was new, he was in Chicago. He was just finishing his college, and he was just in Chicago, and the temperature was minus 10 degrees. minus 10, below zero, 10 below zero, minus 10. Imagine that cold. 5 degrees cold over here, our devotees are feeling very cold. Imagine the temperature minus in negative, So, and he was walking, he was so cold, he couldn't stay outside for more than 15, 20 seconds. He's feeling cold, so he had to find somewhere to go inside in the heat to keep him warm. This Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, before he became a fully practicing devotee. So that's when he was very new. He would walk through the street and he would observe these crazy people dancing and chanting in saffron cloth, wearing bed sheets, etc. In minus 10 degrees, they're just chanting, and he's just like, who are these crazy people chanting and dancing in minus 10 degrees? Well, stupid people. So he just went but he was also thinking, either they're crazy or they have something very deep. They have something very deep connection to something. So he left. He went to do whatever he was out for. And then 1 hour later or 1.5 hours later, he's walking back and he's seeing these people are still there for an hour. He couldn't stand outside for over 5 minutes, and these guys are just jumping and dancing and relishing, for like over 1.5 hours, 2 hours or something. And he's just wondering. He's just standing there looking at them and wondering, what's going on? I can't understand this. I can't stay outside. No one can stay outside for over 10 minutes in this crazy cold conditions. But these people, look at them. They're just celebrating, enjoying, dancing, jumping. Why are they doing that? How can someone do that? That's the question one may ask. Well, as he was asking himself. So he was thinking that either they have some deep connection, there's something that's telling me that I can sense it, that they're very deeply attached to some beautiful spiritual connection that I would like to, but then he forgot, and then he went back to doing his things, and later he came back to Bhakti. We know how he came back. He met different leaders, different gurus, and then the gurus told him that Prabhupada is the Jagat Guru, you should go take shelter of Prabhupada. And he was like, oh, these devotees that were jumping and dancing, wearing bedsheets, they have like something great spiritual knowledge, like some extremely great that there has ever been. Like, yes. So that's when he took initiation and he met devotees and became fully practicing devotee. But the point is that devotees, when they're chanting Hare Krishna, doing Sankirtan, they're very enthusiastic. Or we should be very enthusiastic. Because chanting Hare Krishna is the most perfect thing we can ever do in our life. And when we do it in group, it even becomes better. We hear pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, when something happened, I can't remember exactly the pastime, but there was something with the Qazi that he was performing. Was it a Qazi or someone? I don't know. He was performing the Sankirtan outside his house. Whose house was it? Do you know? Chand Qazi. So he was performing Sankirtan with everyone outside his house at night and going on non-stop. And what happened? What happened to the Qazi? Exactly. So that's why we chant Hare Krishna. So people who see or hear the sound vibration of Hare Krishna in public, they become, or they will become devotee at some point. So that's why we do it. Chanting Hare Krishna enthusiastically. Imagine if all the devotees going outside with Kartas Mridanga, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Will anyone become a devotee? No. You're like, what are these guys doing? Useless people. They're not even feeling anything. Unless we are satisfied or feeling the joy of bhakti, others who look to us will not see or feel the joy of bhakti. It comes naturally once you are practicing for a little while, it'll come naturally, the joy. But sometimes it can become mundane. It can become regular. We can take it for granted very easily. Happens to some of us, Like when we do our japa, sometimes what happens? Sometimes we just make it mechanical. Has anyone ever done mechanical chanting before? Or is it just me? Yeah. So mechanical chanting can be very easy to come through. Because if you're not feeling that enthusiasm or determination to chant Hare Krishna properly with all your heart and devotion, it'll just become mechanical. And we all know what happens once it becomes mechanical. Now it's just a commitment that we have done to chant 16 rounds. And Krishna will also be like that, because Krishna reciprocates accordingly. So if you mechanically chant, Krishna will mechanically reciprocate with you also. Never come and see you. It's a keep doing the mechanical chanting. Even though there is still some benefit of chanting, even mechanically, but that's not what a devotee does. A devotee wants to fully surrender all his heart and energy in remembering, sharing Krishna Katha, sharing pastimes of the Supreme Lord, and sincerely practicing. So enthusiasm will come, enthusiasm will only come when we are nischayad. Nischayad means determination. When we are determined, it will be very difficult in the beginning to control the mind and bring it to the mantra. Very difficult. But that's why we need to be determined. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita also. Satatam kirtayantamam yatantas chadrir vrata. Yatantas chadrir vrata. What does that mean? Endeavor with great determination. It's amazing translation. It's not just endeavor with determination, it's endeavor with great determination. Because you need, chanting Hare Krishna sometimes can become very austere to chant properly. That's why you need to be determined constantly. Because the mind will flow from one place to another like a monkey. That's why we need to be greatly determined to bring it back to the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because this mantra can purify everything. It's the most pure. Krishna is non-different from Krishna himself, so we should remember that. We should be determined to be enthusiastic. That's when we can be successful. And don't lose hope, don't lose patience. That's why Rupa Goswami is mentioning patience is also a very crucial form, a very crucial tool. Because, if I'm not feeling, like sometimes in the West, in India also now, we see if you don't feel, if you don't get the result instantly, the mind goes, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to waste my time in doing that. Like I was speaking to a friend the other day. I was cultivating him. He's a new bhakta coming to Krishna consciousness. I was telling him, giving him this example. Back at the day, there used to be post mail, when we would write a letter, and they'll take about 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days to get that letter. People were very patient to get a reply back. But then there was telephones. People would call. How instant we are getting in this modern times. You see the change. And there were telephones. We started calling each other. But the calls were expensive, so we could only call limited time. Calling another person who lives probably somewhere else in some other country was very expensive. Then what happened? Then the calls got cheaper. Talk more. Just because talking is cheaper doesn't mean you should have more content to speak. Somehow it's weird, eh? People create more content to speak, more prajalpa, more rubbish to speak because it's cheaper. Now I can talk more. Then they become internet. Now it's even easier to constantly stay in touch. People know, and then now even when you do WhatsApp, you don't even want to wait anymore. You want to see that person typing. When you go on WhatsApp, now you can see if someone's typing or not typing. You can actually see that person typing. So this is how instant we have become. This is how agitated we have become. That we want to see that person typing. Why is he not typing? He should be typing. I have asked him a question. He should be typing right now. Why is he's seen my message, there's 2 blue ticks on it, but why is he not typing? So the agitation is very much due to this instant sense gratification. So this is what we should do. We shouldn't, because if you want to be spiritually successful, you can't get everything instantly. There's a whole big process of purification that you have to go through. So many anartha nivritti. You have to get rid of all the anarthas that you have acquired very beautifully in the material world. So it takes time. We should be patient. That's the point. And all these 3 things will come when we associate with the devotees and not associate with the non-devotees. Sangha tyaga satavrite. Sangha tyaga, that means give up the association of the materially minded people and take the association of spiritually minded people. That's when we will advance. So this is a little observation and little things I was going through. So if there's any questions, comments or corrections. Yes. Yeah, well, then you ask him who took that picture. A person took that picture, so you're believing in another person. That's why I know many people who tell me that they have seen God and they can show me God. Then why won't you believe him? That's simple logic. Because, see, with the atheists, you just want to be gentle. Because they are usually envious. Usually. Not everyone will be. Some people just think that they're atheists, but they're not really atheists. They still have some sort of faith. So it's just a matter of faith at the end of the day. So you have faith in that another person who you probably don't know. Right? You've never seen that person who's taken that photo of Antarctica, but you still believe him. Because you've seen that photo, right? Is that what you're saying? So I can tell you exactly the same thing. I know people who've told me that they have seen God. Then they tell me this is a whole process to follow if you want to see God. Then why won't you do it? What's stopping you to do it? Does it make sense? What will you say to that? No, I don't have faith in that person. That's what they will argue. I don't have faith. How can I just have faith in any random person who tell me that he has seen God? Like, well, you just had a faith in someone who just took a photograph of something that you don't know about. Then how can you have faith in that person? So faith is always there. If you have faith in Krishna, if you don't have faith in Krishna, you have faith in Maya. So it's always there. Faith will always be there. In one of those two things, you have to choose. So just by practicing, I've been practicing for a little time, very small time. I've known devotees been practicing for 40, 50 years. Almost a lifetime. But I've been practicing for a little time and I can see, slowly by slowly, I can see the difference. I can see the change in me. Then I can see bigger things. Only after that I can see bigger things, right? So just tell them that. If people are, usually atheists want to spend time listening to all these, because they've already made up their mind. But there'll be some gentle people who will probably listen to that argument and probably think a little about it. So does that answer your question? Or yeah? Any other question?
No, just yeah, that like just seeing, and like you said, it's not only like about seeing the past, but even otherwise in the field, like there's so many aspects that no one like that the general people actually don't know from themselves. That they all accept so much out of it, like
Yeah.
how the economies or things like that,
Mm. It's point about the source, right? As you said, it's about the source, where it's all coming from. Like we know in the material world, there's one researcher has proved something, and then another researcher comes and proves them wrong and proves something else. So how can you have faith in something like that? That's temporary, always being proved right and wrong. That's why you need to listen from the eyes of the Shastra, the Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavatam, the speaker Bhagavatam also. So that's why we need to follow, because we cannot conceive of flying mountains and, big mountains, then big animals. Well, this Bhagavatam is full of so much knowledge that we cannot conceive. The only thing we can conceive about Bhagavatam is that it helps us purify. And we can see that. People who have been reading Bhagavatam with sincerity, I can tell you they have been able to purify their hearts very nicely. I know people, I know devotees who've been reading Bhagavatam 2 hours a day for the last 40 years. And they are very on a higher platform that we cannot imagine to be. So this is the determination. By looking these great senior devotees that have existed, we can see that I want to become like that person. He looks like a saintly person, because I can see him. Be the change you want to see in the world. So if you want to inspire people, you should first inspire yourself to be at that stage where you can inspire other people. So, time's up, we'll stop here. Kantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.